who have made a habit of prosecuting their case in the social media and vilifying the persons of the judges if they feel that those judges are not agreeing with their positions. That is unprofessional. And I completely agree with the direction of the Chief Justice. If you are appearing before the Supreme Court, say everything you want to say there. Let the court make the decision. Do not run to the social media and start misinforming people or misleading people there. That is bad conduct. That is contempt of court. And that is as it ought to be. If you are unable to prosecute your matter, as many of them were unable and have been unable, don't start vilifying the judges for no reason. On this story that is on page 12 of The Nation, I think it's unfortunate because for proper administration of justice, you need the investigating arm to work in tandem with the prosecuting arm and to produce everything there is to produce to put before the determining arm, which is the judiciary. If either of them fails in their duty, then justice will have been subverted. You cannot do any meaningful prosecution unless the DCI are able and actually do meaningful investigation. You cannot have meaningful prosecution if the prosecutor does not get the materials that they need and does not present it before the court. And if either of them fails, then inevitably the persons who are charged before the court will go scot-free. The issue that is happening between the DCI and the DPP is unfortunate. It is true, as stated here, and even as the High Court found, that all prosecutions must come through the hands of the DPP, because that's what the Constitution says. No one else can take over that role. It is the DPP to give the ultimate stamp of authority. But at the same time, unless the DCI is able to investigate properly and place those materials before the DPP would have nothing to put before the court. So while both of them are right, where they are both wrong is the fact that they do not seem to be able to work together. Because if that happens, it is not either of their offices that will be subverted. It is the course of the administration of justice. And therefore, it is inevitable that they must come together and agree. I think it's in two respects. What has brought this blood is that there are times, and I agreed with them, I pointed this out even in this show a lot of times. There were times that the DCI was rushing to bring files for prosecution before properly investigating. And on those occasions, I think the DPP rightly said, no, go and do proper investigation, then bring and we will prosecute. But at the same time, the DCI felt that there were cases that were clear-cut, that were complete, that were put before the DPP. But for considerations that is not about the law, the DPP failed to prosecute. And the DCI felt that perhaps the DPP was exercising selective, a selective justice, so that there are some they would take to court, there are some they would not take, even when the evidence is overwhelming. I think that's the genesis of this. But now when it comes to the stage that the DCI is essentially withdrawing, the High Court said that no case should be prosecuted unless it is being prosecuted by a lawfully sanctioned person, that is the DPP. But I think the DCI has therefore gone further because of that feeling and essentially directed the officers not to be recording statements, not to appear to give evidence. Now, if that happens, essentially it means that all the prosecutions will collapse because the DPP does not have the people to give evidence. In any criminal prosecution, the most crucial witness is always the investigating officer. So every case will fail or succeed based on what the investigating officer brings to court. So if they are directed not to record statement and not to appear, that would mark the end of the criminal justice as it is today.
Isn't that a sabotage?
What should happen?
Of criminal justice?
What must happen is there's an institution called the National Council of Administration of Justice, which is chaired by the Chief Justice. and which has all these organs that deal with the administration of justice. There are about 17 different organs. My suggestion is that the NCAJ must convene an urgent meeting and find a way of resolving this, because left to the DCI and the DPP, they will not resolve it. Each will claim their own independence granted by the law, but it is the course of administration of justice that will be subverted. The way to resolve it is through the NCAJ, so that they can all see the sense in working together.
Right. Let's hear from Dan Mazo also, who is an advocate of a high court with this eventuality that is happening. First of all, is this really, do you take it to be a very uncalled for a move by the DCI to make this particular call? Because in the first place, it appears that you are sabotaging, the criminal justice, because that is why you were there in the first place, to make sure that you actually do your work, your investigative work, and appropriate for that matter. So if you're saying none of your police officers should appear there, what is that telling to the entire justice system?
The DPP's office is supposed to prosecute criminal cases in the country, from electoral violence to ESCC cases dealing with the corruption, to it's a big prosecuting office, to small petty offenses. And ordinarily, for any prosecution to take place, it must be authorized by the DPP. That is the law. And therefore, the two arms can only complement each other. They can't afford to frustrate each other or fight each other. It is finally the DPP who presents the prosecution witness and is led by an officer of office of the DPP. So the moment the two of them take each other to court, accuse each other of fraud, dishonesty, and that they are threatening and risking, the officers and the security of the country. And more important, we have very important matters to be prosecuted, dealing with external aggression, which includes, terrorism. And I think that's where the biggest problem is. First of all, both of them have to follow the Constitution, and both of them have to follow the laid down procedures in law. And therefore, I think all this which has been happening is unnecessary. It should be resolved as quickly as possible. And I think also the DPP's office should have a very smooth working relationship with the DCI office. Without the DCI, the DPP cannot prosecute anything. In fact, the DPP's office does not exist without the DCI. For any matter to be prosecuted, there must be an investigating officer who has an investigative report and an investigative diary. So it's most unfortunate, because the security of the country lies in this. And again also, it's such a sensitive matter. Should not even have come to public domain because of eroding public confidence. And even for whoever people are being prosecuted, they need to feel that the process is free and fair to them. They should not feel that the process is being used to frustrate them. So I believe this is a matter which should be sorted quickly. Everybody should keep to their lane. Let the DPP do his job. Let the DCI do his job. They complement each other. Let none of them have a clash on personalities, have a clash on a few individuals. And you see, if you frustrate DCI, then it means a lot of cases are going to be lost. It means DPP will not be able to perform, will not be able to serve the country, will not have followed the Constitution. So that dispute between the two must be sorted out with immediate effect, speed, utmost good faith, and a meeting quickly called, and probably that place the issue of National Council on Administration of Justice. I think this is the role of the Chief Justice, to get these two gentlemen into a sitting and she will be able to sort it out very quickly so that things can normalize. Otherwise, we go on this thread, we are going to have expeditiously. Okay. We are going to have a lot of problems, especially now during the